How are you today? My name is Matthew, and this is the Love Buddy video. Every day, 10 p.m. New York time and 10 a.m. my time here in the Philippines. Some of the other times, let's see, where is that? Toronto, it's 10 p.m. and Chicago, 9 p.m. Vancouver, LA, 7 p.m. That's yesterday, my time. That would be Friday night. I'm sorry, Thursday night. This is Friday morning here. I want to talk about MyHate. Because part of love, if you're going to believe in love, if you're going to trust love, if you're going to live a love-centered life, what you're going to do is you're going to be accountable, because that's one of the qualities of love. So you don't hide, you don't deceive, you don't try to save face, you don't try to put up a front and say you're somebody that you're not. And I try not to do that as best as I can. And it's a learning process. None of us are perfectly living in love. That's why we're all here. And we all have things to learn. So one of the things that I need to learn is not to be hateful, and not to let my frustration turn into criticism of others. So I grew up in an environment where it was difficult to live with. I have two older brothers, and the one who was the younger of the two, I don't know, about 4 years older than I am, maybe 3.5 years older than I am. Challenging relationship. And there were a lot of ups and downs, and there were a lot of times that I really felt like I was treated unfairly. And I grew up, and I still have a kernel of anger, frustration, or hate. You know, he's a drug addict. He thinks that he's got a chip in his head embedded that was put there by the CIA, that he hears voices telling him what to do. And he lives in a truck by the ocean in LA somewhere, and that's relatively new. Before that, he would take me on trips where he wanted to steal things, and I would help him steal things. And then I realized later, wait a second, this isn't a game, this isn't justifiable. But a lot of the behaviors that he went through, he would justify it saying, look, these companies have a lot of money and they can afford. So he had this justification around a lot of things. And so when I kind of came out of that, and I kind of realized, wait a second, the one who was really doing the parenting, my parents had 6 kids, the one who was really doing the parenting, my older brother, was not the best example for me. And I got frustrated with some of the behaviors that he exhibited with me, how he treated me, and how things occurred. And so instead of loving him, instead of forgiving him, instead of letting go, I would really get aggravated, trying to deal with the pain, trying to deal with the frustration, trying to deal with the humility, how I was so humiliated so many times, and how the most precious things that I had were stolen or destroyed or corrupted. And it's been a tough thing for me. So I'm still learning how. And, my conclusion is just love him, If I have the opportunity to go visit my brother, I'm going to go do that. Help him out any way I can. The other 3 sisters and the other brother, they've helped here and there. I don't think they're doing much help. I don't know what they can do, but I don't feel good about some member of my immediate family living in a truck and going through what he's going through. So it's kind of a sad situation. So part of me really feels, despite all the things that we've been through, and despite all the things that I didn't feel were very loving to me, and the things that I allowed to happen that weren't loving to myself, left myself open to attack, or left myself open to abuse. Where today I would say, no, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in interacting with you. I'm not interested in getting this kind of treatment. Have a great life, goodbye. That's what I wish I had done when I was about 7. But I didn't know to do that. But it was a great experience for me looking back. It's helped me to understand so many people. It's helped me to understand the world so much. And it's helped me to understand him so much, and what people call evil, people get angry about. When it comes to religion, I want to read for you a passage. I want to read for you a comment, because I was inviting A few days ago, I made a comment. I said, any feedback you have, I really appreciate. That's absolutely true. Any feedback at all. of any type. I'm happy to interact with people, happy to have a conversation, and happy to have an interaction. That's how we learn, by communication. Somebody says, hey, you got some food on your chin or something like that. It's a great thing. We don't know, we can't see. How about our own personal flaws? How about our own mistakes? How about our own ignorance? If we don't have close friends that are interacting with us, respect us and love us and share with us, wow, I noticed that maybe you could have done this instead of that, or I noticed that maybe you didn't know this is what's happening. It's so helpful to us. We don't always have to accept that information. We don't always have to accept that and agree with it, but at least we've got their impression. So I asked for this feedback, and one of my friends for many years on Facebook made a comment and said, Matthew, what I enjoy is your strive for honesty. I like most of your posts regarding world issues, and specifically your posts supporting the Palestinian and calling out their aggressors. I do not enjoy any posts attacking religious people and those believing in a creator. I think that is a personal choice, and whether they believe in Jesus, God, Buddha, or whatever deity it happens to be. I also believe the same for atheists. I always felt that atheists need affirmation of their beliefs by pointing out how stupid one is for believing in a creator. It's not new information to you, as I voiced this in the past. He has voiced it, but I don't remember specific instances of that because I have about 4,900 friends, and he's a key friend, but he also, we haven't really gotten into it, and I'm sure he's made comments, and maybe I apologized, or maybe I didn't respond when he said, this kind of, gave me this kind of feedback. This is not new information. You have voiced this in the past. In this day where divisiveness seems to be the order of the day, we need to focus on what brings us together against the tyrants of the world. Peace. And so this is a guy, I'm not going to mention his name because maybe he wants to be anonymous, I don't know. Although he did post this publicly on my wall, but I want to respect his privacy. But anyway, what a wonderful thing he said, and what a wonderful insight, what a wonderful reminder to me, because I want to be the kind of guy who's not divisive. That's what I want to be. But we're all dealing with our own imperfections, right? And I definitely am. It's really, really obvious. So even though I advocate love, I talk about love, I have this website, Love Buddy, and I have these courses about love, all these things, the Facebook page, even though I'm really into love and I really believe in love, I don't want to try to appear as someone, I don't want to appear to anyone as someone who thinks they've got it figured out, or someone who thinks that they're a loving person, that they're superior in any way. I'm not superior to anybody in any way. I think love is a great equalizer, and we're all going through our own challenges in different areas. And I respect and love everybody, no matter what they do, because we're all in a learning thing. That doesn't mean I would invite someone to abuse me or allow someone else to be hurt and then stand there and watch it, as if loving someone and accepting them and embracing them has to do with allowing cruelty to occur. No, if I see someone getting hurt, I'll defend them. And it's come up in the past, especially in China, where people were standing around because they have a kind of a culture of don't interfere, you're going to get hurt, they're a gang, and things like that. But where I have interfered, then I realized later, wow, that was kind of stupid, I could have been hurt. But sometimes we do have to stop people being hurt. Even though we're loving, we defend. We don't attack. We don't try to punish. We just want to defend people that are being hurt. And that's my opinion about what love is. So even though I talk about love, I'm absolutely not an example of love. Maybe I hope to be an example of someone who wants to learn, someone who's willing to admit their mistakes, be accountable for their mistakes, apologize, do what they can to right the wrongs that they've committed in their past. That's what the kind of person that I hope to be. And I hope to, even if I'm not really living as a loving person as much as my goal is, I still hope that I can help remind people to, well, that's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do anyway. Let's all do our best. And the reminder that he made here in this day where divisiveness seems to be the order of the day, we need to focus on what brings us together against the tyrants of the world. So that's a great reminder, and I don't want to be divisive, and my intention is not to be divisive. Here's my experience with religion in a quick nutshell. Born and raised Catholic, baptized Catholic, studied Catholicism, went to a seminary for a short time to become a Catholic priest. My father was Catholic. My mother converted from Methodist in order to marry him. And we went to church every morning, but then I started looking into Catholicism. When I turned about 14, my brother became a Jehovah's Witness, and he started sending me letters from his home, telling me about how Jehovah's Witnesses was superior in that they were following the Bible more closely, and that Catholicism was called Christendom, and it wasn't really following their God, Jehovah, because they didn't even use God's name. And Jehovah's Witnesses really believe in that. Okay, started my journey as a Jehovah's Witness, knocking on doors full-time for a while with my brother, relocating from Chicago to LA to live with him when I was 16. And really just becoming Jehovah's Witness for several years. Then my experience in Catholicism was one that didn't seem to be love-centered. I didn't know I was looking for love. I didn't really use the word, but I knew there was something wrong because I didn't feel the compassion. I didn't feel the understanding. I didn't feel the respect, and I didn't feel the oneness. Jehovah's Witnesses was really diligent. They're really diligent. I studied the Bible so much, and I still, even though it's been a long time, I still remember a lot of those verses from the Bible, their version of the Bible. But then I felt like there's something missing there when I had experiences with the Jehovah's Witnesses. So I'll do another video that goes more in depth about each of my religious experiences. Then I got into Scientology, and I thought, okay, maybe this is going to make more sense. I did Scientology for 5 years, and it took me a while to realize how Scientology was not love-centered at all. And I started realizing, wait a second, they're missing some compassion here. They're missing understanding. They're missing communication about the important things in life. They're really missing nurturing. And I thought, seems like if you're going to do a religion, if you're going to have a set of beliefs, there's going to be some nurturing involved. We need nurturing. We need to nurture ourselves and nurture each other. And if we don't have that as part of our basic beliefs, I don't know. That just seems like that's not something that I want to follow. It doesn't feel like love to me. And I'm convinced that love is what it's all about. Scientology. Transcendental meditation, that I did that for a while. The people that were practicing, I know TM can be a really good thing. I think there's some famous people like Seinfeld and these guys, and I think it's also what is that, Shock Jock? The New York DJ. These people practice TM. Good, all the best to them. I didn't find that it worked for me, but I do like meditation. So I did glean meditation. But after that, it's Buddhism, Soka Gakkai Buddhism, kind of a Buddhism from Japan that's more of a modern style, and where they chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. And I did that for a while. Did not find the people that followed that to be love-centered. They were tribal. And I found that the religions were tribal. So sometimes when I talk with people about religion, or when I make a comment about religion, I'm trying to point out the tribalism of religion. I have a sister that went to the Philippines to preach Jesus to the Muslims in the southern part of the Philippines. That was their agenda. Their agenda was not so much to show love and compassion, although that's most likely what they did. But it was centered around what? It was centered around their religious beliefs, around their dogma, that, look, Jesus is your Savior, and if you don't believe in Jesus, then you're on the wrong path as a Muslim. I've met a lot of Muslims. When I lived in Malaysia for years, I was surrounded by Muslims, and I never went to pray because I wasn't allowed to do that. But I was allowed to talk with them all the time and observe them and learn about what they believe and how they live. That's the Malaysian version of Islam. I was also in Dubai, and I was in Kuwait, and I was in Egypt, and I noticed that in Pakistan, especially Karachi, I noticed that their practice of Islam was a little bit different. So every religion, it depends geographically where you're at. For example, here in the Philippines, people are Catholic. I mean, they just say they're Catholic, they go to Catholic church. But they also believe in voodoo, they believe in black magic, they believe in killing chickens and chicken blood quite a bit here too, and that's not part of the Catholic Church, is it? So my experience in religion gives me a certain kind of an attitude about what I see religions do. I've had people unfriend me because I've said religions are tribal. If you're doing acts of love, if you're loving people, respecting, being kind, that's great, that's a wonderful thing. If your group, your church is sponsoring, helping people that need help, fantastic, no criticism of that at all. But what I experienced when I was in Chicago working on the South Side, a group of evangelicals, the man who was running the mission told me in no uncertain terms, it's not about the food, it's about getting them to believe in Jesus. So they use food as a trick, as a lie, as a deception. We're running a food pantry and we're going to give you food. And then there's Bible studies. So really, they don't really care about food at all. These are well-to-do people on the north side of Chicago that are funding this. 99% of them, they would never come down to the rough area. They just, most of them they just kind of stay in and they would contribute from a distance. And they would say, help these people believe in Jesus. Okay, believe in Jesus or not, what I think the common denominator should be is about sharing love with people. And if we're sharing love, that's the key. So I don't want to criticize anybody who's, if you want to believe in anything you want to believe in. However, your actions, how you behave, how you spend your time. If you spend your time reading the Bible all day and studying ancient scripture, but you're not helping people, I don't recommend that. I would recommend that you help people. I would recommend that you take an active part in community. I would recommend if you're going to fly to the Philippines, doesn't matter what religion they are, what religion you are, if you want to help people, help them. Create sustainable things. If they need clean water, help them to build a well. If they need food, help them to start a greenhouse. If they need some skills, help them with some training so they have some basic job skills that they can use to earn a living. This is helping people. This is empowering them. And I don't believe that dogma about your particular religion empowers people. It's never, in my opinion, the dogma, your religious beliefs that empower people and help them to live a happy life. I believe that empowering people in the way that they want to be, if they want to be Muslim, they want to be Catholic, whatever they want to be, no religion, atheism, great, I don't care. What are your dreams? What's in your heart? What do you love? What do you need? How can we work together on this earth to be one big human family? Now, I've crossed the line before when it comes to military too. I don't get it. When I was born in 1960, and I think I was 8 years old, the Vietnam War was on TV, and my father was talking about, people being drafted and people going to fight, and I saw the videos they were sharing, and I said, we were in Chicago, I said, where's Canada? Even though I was 8 years old, I said, I don't want to be any part of that. It just didn't seem right. It didn't seem constructive. Being a soldier sometimes can be great because they'll do great projects to help people. But overall, when you sign up to be a soldier, you're signing up to fight. When you're in boot camp, you're not training how to build a greenhouse or how to dig a well. Those come to other times from other special forces and things like that. That's not the main thrust of the military. The main thrust of the military is to invade, conquer, fight, kill, dominate militarily. And we can see the history of the United States is not a good one when it comes to invading other countries, overthrowing, taking their resources, and messing up, just making an absolute mess of a country that has problems, but so does America. So one of the first things I did when I got involved in Facebook was I would debate people that were soldiers that were very proud. It's an amazing thing, the soldiers, what they go through. It's absolutely amazing. It's hell, what a lot of them go through. And I would never want to minimize that or put that down or criticize that or say that isn't real, to say that hell isn't real. All I would say is, who are you serving and what did you accomplish? Yeah, You could also go swim with a crocodile and fight sharks and fight crocodiles. Absolutely, that's a terrorizing thing, but why the heck did you get in the water? And we have to be responsible. If our finger is on the trigger, guess whose finger that is? That's my finger. When I pull that trigger, I can't blame the president. I can't blame my commanding officer. I can't blame the policy of the United States. That's my finger on that trigger. Everything I do in my life, I'm accountable for. So, expressing some of these feelings has made a lot of people block me. Expressing my feelings about Israel, feeling that they're moving in on Palestine and they're brutally killing people that have rocks or bottle rockets for defense. These guys have F-35 fighters and white phosphorus and things like that. I don't feel like it's a very, very fair fight, and I don't feel that moving into these settlements and taking over more and more land is justified or legal according to any international court and according to most countries in the world. So I get into expressing my feelings about religion and politics, war, and the way people are spending their time, the way people are spending their energy. And I do that for myself. And I share that when I see someone say, oh, we got to stop Iran. This is just ridiculous. Iran is such a peaceful country compared to the United States. And they just want to defend themselves. If you look at the history, Iran never started any wars. America backed Iraq. They backed Saddam Hussein, who they later murdered without a trial. And they backed Iraq to attack Iran. And the U.S. indirectly supplied the chemical weapons that they condemned Saddam Hussein for using. So, and then Iran was just defending themselves. So I'm not saying Iran is a perfect country. There are bad things that go on there. They kill homosexuals just for being gay. Don't agree with that at all. But at the same time, I don't think that it's a solution to try to make them, to control their oil, for example, which is what the whole hostage crisis during Reagan's administration occurred. British Petroleum was trying to control the oil and all the prices. These are resources of Iran. They don't like to be bullied. Palestinians don't like to be bullied, so they throw rocks. People react to this. So I try to express my opinion about that. I don't really mean to be a hater, but I have made comments that are definitely not about love. So I apologize for that. That's wrong. And every day when I make a comment, I've got a great friend, his name is James, and he's an evangelical Christian. But he's not the same kind of evangelical Christian that I've run into mostly in America. He seems to be a lot more love-centered than dogma-centered. He's not so much into saying that you have to believe this dogma, you have to follow this dogma. This guy is more into love. He's more into compassion. He's more into understanding. He's very respectful. He has a son who has some challenges in his life, and he has a full-time caretaker of his son. Constant challenges to James in his life, and I've spoken with him on the phone. We've been friends for years. I look forward to meeting him in person. Wonderful guy. So I don't want to slam people, individuals, because you're a Democrat or you're an evangelical or you're a Muslim or you're a soldier, especially. Like I said about soldiers, I mean, these guys, a lot of times they don't really know. They don't really understand why they were there. They thought they're standing up for something good. But I'm hoping more and more people will realize that let's stand up for love. And that doesn't mean shooting people. It doesn't mean burning people in hell forever. That's not love, no matter how much you want to twist the definition. I'm an advocate of love, and there's sometimes I want to put my foot down and say, that's not love. This is what love is. So I've defined 68 so far, qualities of what love is. Some of the key ones I've already mentioned: compassion, respect, nurturing, kindness, consideration, being polite, being joyful, helping others, learning, being open-minded, embracing others. realizing that we're all one and we're all learning, we're all growing. These are the qualities that bring peace to earth. And as my friend in the comments said, not divisiveness. And I don't want to be an agent for divisiveness. So I'm in the process of learning. And I've got a lot to learn. And I'm very sorry for the people that I've offended, if I've hurt your feelings by being outspoken too much and really not being polite, not being considerate of how you feel. Some people, they have just a really, really great love for their God, and it is really deep inside their heart. And some of the things I've said have been not respectful to what they believe. And I try so hard to speak the truth and to be honest and not hold back and try to share with people what I want people to share with me, what the feedback that I wish to God that people had told me when I was a Scientologist, when I was Joseph, when I was in TM, when I was in Buddhism, when I was going to church all the time with evangelicals and watching them and learning how they behave and how they practice their religion there on the northwest side of Chicago. When I was a Catholic. And when you speak with feedback, wow, it becomes so controversial. People, when people gave me feedback, I remember the last door that I knocked on as a Jehovah's Witness, she was what we called then a born-again Christian. And I was trying to push, I thought this was the right thing to do, and I was really poor at expressing myself, and I was trying to get her to understand what I thought that I knew. I was a kid, 17 years old, maybe just barely 18. And she was in her 30s probably. And when I would knock on doors, I thought I knew because I had that dogma. I had that proof. Look, this is the scripture, this is what it means in Greek, and this is why you're wrong when you believe in the Trinity, for example. This is one of the things we were trained in, how to refute the Trinity based upon the Greek Septuagint version of the Bible. And you become expert as Jehovah's Witness in these other. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that I thought I was so right. And I wanted to be right, and we want to be right. My goal was to serve God that I believed in. My goal was to try to be a good guy. That's what most people's goals are, even when they blow something up, including themselves. They have some problem. They don't really understand love. They don't really understand the best way to share, the best way to help. And it's not blowing yourself up. It's not putting other people down. It's not arguing. But what I've done in not really knowing how to be gentle like I need to be, not to be respectful of the person like I need to be, standing up for what love is, standing up for, I think it's wrong if someone's going to another country to shoot innocent people that they never met based upon some agenda of the U.S. government. I don't stand for that. And I feel it's my responsibility to share that. So when it comes to love, man, love is not a static thing. And we're always learning, we're always growing. And I'm sure maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, as long as I live, I'm still going to be learning about how to be a more loving person, how to stand up for love, how to give feedback in a way that hopefully is going to be beneficial and not create some argument, not create some polarity, not create a fight, and not hurt that person's feelings, put that person down, make them feel wrong for who they are. Currently having a debate with a guy named Brian about Israel, and he supports Israel. He also supports Palestine to a certain extent, but the way he talks, I think he's completely involved in Zionism and supports that. He really defends the acts of Israel, which I don't. So I've definitely made some comments that were critical to him, that were not constructive to him, that were not constructive to that relationship. I've definitely reacted emotionally when I've seen some of the things that he said, and I've come back with anger, and I was out of the love zone, and I wasn't being respectful, and I wasn't being kind, I wasn't thinking clearly, and I wasn't thinking, how can I constructively communicate my side of things and listen to him with respect and with kindness, with understanding, and understand where he's coming from. I'm not setting an example in that area at all with him. And Brian, if you see this, I apologize to you for not being a constructive debater and not being respectful to you, hurling some insults at you and being childish in some ways. Absolutely, that's wrong, and I don't mean to do that. I love you and I respect you, and I look forward to a chance to deal with you in a more respectful way, even though I don't agree with what you're saying, and I think it's really wrong from what I see, what I know, but I'm always learning, and I'm open to learning more about your side, the Israeli side, the Zionist side, that maybe I don't know. And love is like that. If we want to love, we have to stay open. We think we know some things, we're pretty sure about some things, but we always keep the door open to learn more and to grow, and especially not so much what is black and white, right and wrong, but how that person feels, how that person perceives things. Even though they may be misinformed, blah, 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 whatever, that doesn't mean we can just say, look, you're dead wrong. Shut up. I'm not talking to you. I see a lot of that on Facebook. Please tell me why you feel the way you feel. For me, this is the way I see it. And I'm trying to set an example here, but I'm not much of an example. But that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I want to do more. Understand more where the person's coming from. Share my viewpoint. Share my understanding of things. And realize in the end, the objective is for us to love each other. The objective is for us to live this life in peace with each other, nurture each other, help each other have happy, joyful families and good food and nice get-togethers, and share the resources, take care of the earth, take care of our families, and just have a wonderful life and become the most wonderful version of ourselves that we could possibly be. That's what I think is a worthwhile goal, despite where we stand regarding all these divisive issues. So thank you so much, my friend, for sharing this comment, giving me this feedback, inspiring me to look again at myself and where I'm not being the person I want to be, where I'm not loving when I should, and helping me to see that side of me. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brian, for your patience. And thank you, James, for your love and you're helping me to understand. And every time I talk to an evangelical Christian, I think about evangelical, I think about how can I be loving to this person? Because James is an evangelical, but I would never want to hurt this guy's feelings. Why would I be cold to somebody else? So these people that I meet that show me this love as an example, even though they're on the other side of the issue from where I am, it's just so revealing. It just puts me in my place. When I talk to a soldier who's gone through hell and thought he was doing something good, and maybe he did do some good things for sure, and I'm putting down these invasions, I'm putting down soldiers and things like that. And, you meet the guy in person and you realize he's just like me. We're one. We make mistakes and we do things that we believe are right. I can't hate them. I can't hate Israel for the things that I disagree with. I can't hate Democrats or Republicans or evangelicals or atheists. My job is not to criticize or put down these people. My job is to understand, love, respect, and look for the commonality that we have and be open to what I can learn and realize that we're equals. Just because I think I know something about these different topics doesn't make me superior. It doesn't make me right. You know what's right? In my opinion, what's right is love. That's what's right. That's the best thing we can do. Embrace, understand, be patient, be kind, be respectful, compassionate, nurturing. So once again, I apologize. I blew it. My mistakes, and I make these mistakes all the time. But I'm learning and I'm growing, and I hope that I can learn to be more loving. And I really love it when people share their feedback to me and tell me, wait, I don't so much, I like when you do this, but I don't so much like when you do this. it's a really, really great thing. Thank you so much for being there. Okay, this is Matthew from Love Buddy. I love you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you so much for being you.